going on, family? How is everybody doing? Get your libations. Get whatever you need for the moment. Please get whatever you need, family. It is wonderful to see you. How you been? How your family? How everybody? Mama and them, everybody. Now listen, now that we're in here, just please hit that like button. I'm not going to keep you too long today. We got started late, so not too long, because I gotta just get through a couple things. But let's do the housekeeping first, family. Let's hit that like button. Let's hit that share button. If you have not already hit the button to share, or with your on your social medias and all that, whichever ones are your particular favorites, particularly. Also, make sure that you hit that bell. If you want to donate, go to donatebrown.com or patreon.com/ycarnell. But if you hit that bell and if you hit that subscribe button, you are doing things that help the channel and cost you no monies. So please make sure you hit the bell, hit the subscribe button for me. Do all of those good things. Those things are wonderful. Like, if you're in here already, hit the like button. Hit the like button. Support the channel. Cost you nothing. It's a pandemic. And speaking of pandemic, we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot, let me just say this, fam. There is a psychological aspect to what we're dealing with that I don't think I have even touched on. I'm going to touch on it today. But before you have to do any of that, before you ask people what we doing, when you get in the car and you ask, where we going? Right? Before you do any of that, what you have to do is assess yourself. What do you need to go? Do you need to go home and go to bed? Do you know to get some food? What do you need to go and what do you need to be doing? How much money is in your pocket, right? So we have to examine these things. Now, let me tell you something, family. We are in a very, very precarious situation. I don't know if people understand that or not. So let me just show everybody something. This has been passed around today. I saw this a lot. It's very good. Most of us already knew we were in sort of a precarious, not sort of, ain't no sort of about it. Let's not sugarcoat things. Let's be honest with each other. So, how the eviction crisis across the U.S. will look. We like to do data here. So let's take a look at what this looks like. Now, if you look at this, let me get this straight up and get it big enough for everybody to see, hopefully. Facing eviction. Now, I want you to look at something. Renter households unable to pay rent and at risk of eviction as share of the total renter households. Okay, that's the data set we're looking at. That's where we are. Let me pull this in a little bit. So, I want you to look at this. Now, you look at certain places. You look at Tennessee, it's like 58%. North Carolina, 43%. New Jersey, 44%. Nevada, 43%. Now, renter households unable to pay rent and at risk of eviction. Now, just like everything else, we know that this is worse with us, don't we? We know that this is going to be worse. And here are a couple more states down here at the bottom. But we already know who's going to get the brunt of this, just like homelessness or anything else. We already know where we are in this for anybody. Ain't nobody got to tell us. Ain't nobody got to tell us nothing. Nobody has to tell us anything. We already know where we are. Right? So Florida's 51%. Somebody said they couldn't see that. Listen. So we about to, now this is just renters. Some people about to get kicked out their house. Some people got to get kicked out their homes. I don't think when I go out and I try not to go out, but I go running and I take my little mask with me. And if I see somebody, I strap it up and on. It's always up here. I see too many people acting like this is not the real situation. Like we are not at a cataclysmic, apocalyptic kind of event. Heard a white woman on the podcast say she's about to live in her car. Now, if you got a bunch of white people about to live in their cars, what do you think is happening with us? Right? Well, this will tell you really quickly. People of color, I hate that term, but that's the term that the media has chosen to go with as of now. We got to get that changed too, because it strips us of identity. But people of color are especially vulnerable. While almost half of white tenants say they're highly confident they can continue to pay their rent, just 26% of African American tenants could say the same. Only 26% of us Say, yeah, I'm confident I can pay my rent. You know why? Because we can't. That's just what that is. That's what that means. So I wanted to do that. I want to give everybody a keen idea of where we are and what we're going through right now. Because I can't do that. I have to do that to pivot to Kamala and to pivot to all the stuff that's going on and to pivot how we about to do something real strange in terms of using. You know, there's a shirt that says that I have at the ADOS merch. It says Black Tokenism is not Black uplift. And I don't care which one of these black people you choose to be VP, because that's what the Negro chattering class has said that they want. And we're going to get to that, how we're demanding. We got to have a black woman VP. Well, that's wonderful. Not in and of itself, though. See, because this is what life looks like. Fresh blow to teetering economy from expiring jobless benefits. So you're going to have these little, that additional that you're getting, they fighting over it. We don't know what it's going to be. And the Republicans are trying to stick to it. We're not doing that 600 no more. We're not doing that no more. We're going to do 200. So you are in a situation as ADOS. We're in a quite untenable situation. And none of that is going to be fixed in the way that we think it's going to be fixed. So let me just put a few of these a couple of things up real quick. Unemployment insurance income 2020, PUC added weeks of eligibility, benefits for self-employed and related, extra 600 a week. Look at how big that big orange block is. All other UI, including regular. Oh, that's finna drop off. That 600 is finished. I'd be surprised if the Republicans go with it. They sound serious, and people have allowed them to be serious and do what they do and treat everybody how they treat them, especially us. So let's talk about it. The damage already done to the labor market from the 3 months of sharply weakened economic activity cannot be understated. The official jobless rate of 11.1% is already the highest on records dating back to 1948, except for 2 preceding months. This is not a game. The actual extent of unemployment is even higher, writes ex-White House economist and Peterson Institute senior fellow in research in a research paper. That's because the data include a misclassification error that fails to account for the additional 2 million workers who reported being not at work for other reasons as unemployed. So we're looking at a real higher number. They're playing with the number. They're not trying to scare people, but I've seen too many mistakes to believe that this is just the way this happened. Well, we just kaboggled. We didn't know. We just made a gaffe. We made a goof. No, you don't want people to know what is happening here. That's just my thought. I can't prove it. Also, an unusually large number of people stopped looking for work in the past few months, meaning they no longer count as jobless in the official record. So they decided, rightfully so, it's a pandemic. I'm probably not going to get work. Now look at how cataclysmic this chart is. This is an awful chart. Awful. Look at that. Now this chart spans from 1948 until now. Now I want you to look at that spike, June 2020. Now, we're ahead of that now. We're far along from that now. But look at this is a cataclysmic situation. You fix cataclysmic situations with transformative policy and bold policy. You do not fix it with tokenism. You cannot fix this. You cannot fix a pandemic, which is totally out of anybody's control or foresight or anything like that. You can't fix that with tokenism. It will never happen. And I want to say something before I get deep into it. Let me just put one last chart up. This is another chart. This is Care Forbes. the measure of the unemployment rate in the United States, January to June 2020, and you look at the realistic, official, and full recall, and you kind of see the kind of situation that we're in. And the situation that we're in has people fighting with tenants. Just I want you to understand what you about to see in the coming days. You better be ready. People gonna be boxing. They're gonna be boxing out, because we're in a situation where everybody's saying you got to be on your guard. You got to take care of yourself. You got to do what you got to do. You got to wear the mask, and that's true. And you got to keep a social distance, and that's true. And stay home if you can. But then you don't have a home. Can't tell people to stay home and you finna do a mass eviction. How you gonna stay home? I don't even understand how any of this makes any sense. You gonna stay home? But see, it don't make no sense. But we understand that. The people here understand that. We understand what we're talking about. Right? So I want to bring up one other thing too, if I can pull it up. One second. Sometimes you need other things to contextualize what you just saw. So y'all saw the states, right? You saw the states there, and that's all wonderful and good. But like, what states are we in? As ADOS, what states are we in? As Black America too. Like, what states are we in? Where are we in all of this stuff that's going on? Well, I want you to go back as we contextualize things, because we always have to contextualize everything we look at. I want you to go back and look at something. So go back and look at this. Go back and look at this. Now look at who's here. Look at. I didn't think Kentucky would be doing. Kentucky's doing awful. The St. Stephen's fam is there, Dr. Cosby and them. Like, Alabama's at 42, Georgia here 46. Now look at those states that have the highest numbers, right? Now I want you to look right now at the racial dot map. Tell me, did you see anything? Now understand that the blue is white, that green is black. And the red is Asian. But see that green? Don't those kind of line up with the places that I just told you about? We're getting hit, fam. And I want you to line up where you are and get ready for what you're about to see. And I want to talk. we're going to have a heart to heart today about something that has to change in our community. And, it would be better if it were not that way, right? But I have this thing where was it? We see what's happening everywhere. I got to show you this thing, though, because I don't even know what it is. It's just so much going on. So we see with everything going on, mass evictions, COVID. I heard Mississippi now. Mississippi got morgues running over. That's what we are. That's what we are. With everything that's happening, I would think we had stuff to do. I would think we had business. Right? But apparently we don't. Well, what you mean, Yvette? We don't have business. We always have business. We ADOS and we be on it. We do. That doesn't mean everybody does. We do. So, in the midst of all of this, y'all remember Dodd saying something about, you remember one of the shows I said Dodd said something about Kamala Harris being too ambitious. Now we're having a whole conversation that don't make no sense. Everybody's having this conversation that don't make no sense about, well, black women don't like the fact that people are saying that Kamala is too ambitious. So that was kind of offensive, and she's going to talk about that, about being too ambitious. So now we're going to have a conversation about ambition. Then you have a whole group of people like Reverend Barbara and all those people saying, they basically came out and said, you got to pick. They told Biden, you going to pick a black woman that's VP or else. And he snapped it on him. I'm telling you that this don't make no sense, but I'm trying to figure out, I just can't say it don't make no sense. I have to talk about why it doesn't make sense. So I've been trying to think a lot about why it doesn't make sense. Why are we here at this moment doing a bunch of stuff that don't make no sense in terms of what our people are supposed to be or going through? Because family, listen to me. You have to contextualize everything. Everything has to be contextualized. And that's your job. And you don't have to. We don't owe nobody nothing. Let me say something. Something that has happened is that in answer to everything, let me get Kamala off of here, child. I can't do it. In answer to everything, you have Oprah coming out talking about you're going to get people to vote. Who asked you to? But the question becomes, family, why do we have an obsession of voting as like the singular politics for us? That is our singular politics. And people say, well, our people died for the right for us to vote. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. But there was an assumption embedded in that there would be something for us to vote for. The assumption in giving us the right to vote and having and infusing that with meaning is that we have something to vote for. Having a right to vote without having any input on what is on the ballot is no right at all. And that is disenfranchisement. And I don't know how we don't see that as disenfranchisement. If you don't hear anything else I'm saying today, understand that we have every right to feel how we feel about Kamala and Jim Crow Joe, and nobody has any right to bully us into any other decision. Most of us have been loyal Democrats for quite some time. We don't get to be bullied. And let me tell you something. It occurred to me, one of the things I was trying to figure out today is, why do we do that? Why is everything just about voting? Why are we just like this one trick pony? And I think, and people will say, well, Yvette, we do have something on the ballot. We have something. We have Kamala instead of Trump, and that's an improvement. No, you have to contextualize everything like I just said. Did you hear me when I said it? Everything has to be contextualized. What I mean by that is this. Everything has to be contextualized against our group's needs. If we need more than that, that is not good enough. If we want somebody better than that, then that is not good enough. If our contribution in this country makes us able, and rightfully so, to demand more than that, then that is not good enough. We are seeing ourselves and this right to vote as just some kind of white gaze we are addicted to. And we only see ourselves insofar as they are approving of what we believe. That is sort of like censorship. You're telling me that I can't believe a certain thing if it doesn't line up with what white America or people of color America believe or need. That is not freedom. If I am not free to think and demand and create my own political solutions. If I can't do that, if that has to be approved or rubber stamped by somebody else, that's not freedom. That's not me having rights. If what I have to do has to line up with what you want me to do, I'm not a free American. And even when you have this, let me see if I see it. Like, you know, Oprah's leading this, and I just put this up. But one of the most interesting things about it is this. In this, I don't know how many of you all have seen this ad. This Oprah go to the polls stuff. How many of y'all seen this? Well, I think it's a Beyonce song. Correct me if I'm wrong. In there. And Beyonce's singing. And black women are talking about power. And it gives us this feeling of power without actual power. So you're telling me that I got to go vote for Jim Crow Joe, and somehow that's powerful. Somehow that's a revolutionary act. It's not. It is not. We have become some kind of way, kind of addicted to the feeling of power without really understanding what real power is and how real power moves. That is not power. Now, you have power in your vote, but if you put it on Jim Crow Joe, that's not power. In my belief, let me just say this. A man who created, you had Reagan with the crack and everything else. Joe Biden used to be proud of being one of the architects of mass incarceration. And then he opposed reparations, just like Obama, right? That person can't bring us anything. Right? And this is why you can't listen to anybody. I hate to park it right here, but I got to stay right here for a second. This is why you can't listen to anybody else. Nobody else has the right to shame us about anything. Like at a certain point, you have to kind of stand up straight and understand who you are. And who has what right to say what to you. And Jim Crow Joe and Kamala, if she becomes VP, they push that back. Y'all saw them push that back? That's some strange stuff going on. See, and we have a right to do that because your life is not my life, right? In terms of Adolf's life is Adolf's life. And the people who live in Black America, that's black, they're black people and they have black lives. And so our lineage is not anybody else's lineage, right? Everybody has their own story. God bless you. But if you are not ADOS and you have this whole lineage that reaches back to slavery, you can't then tell me what my expectation should be or who I should be voting for. It don't make no sense. It don't make no sense. We have to, at some point, discover ourselves outside of the context of party and within the context of who we are. But what do you mean, Yvette, in the context of who we are? Well, it's kind of simple to me, right? So we talked about Kamala before, and we talked about caste. I think we did. And we talked about specific kind of caste where her mother's from. Her father's Jamaican. But here's the thing. She doesn't even seem to, even though he's not ADOS, she doesn't even seem to have a good relationship with him. He basically said he was embarrassed about her for the marijuana joke, and she didn't say, and she just kind of sniffed at it. And he ain't come out. He don't respond to no calls. Something's going on there, and I don't like it. Like I don't know why it's not been dug into, but they obviously, it seems from media, don't have a good relationship. He never had custody. She was with her mother. Her mother's Brahmin Indian, and she was raised going back and forth to India with her family. Nothing wrong with that, Kamala, but there are castes in India, and I never heard you speak up for the bottom caste. As a matter of fact, you rarely speak about that part of your life, but it's important because we're bottom caste here, and a lot of the caste from India is being brought here, and we have a right to feel how we feel because we just went through Obama. You don't get to tell me, well, she went to Howard. I know how ambitious political people are. I've worked on Capitol Hill. I even went to Howard. A lot of people on Howard who was going, I'm going to be a congressperson. I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. Ambitious people have decided they're going to do that from the time they were very little. And they have a plan for how they're going to do it. In America, if you're going to be a person, you have to be a black person. If you're going to be do no good just to be brown. You have to paint yourself as Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King. So we have every right to say this. We have every right to say, why was the first president Kenyan white, and why would a second VP if Kamala is picked? And that's some shaky stuff because Biden just delayed that 2 weeks. Kamala, you better get on top of your game. But we have every right to say, well, why would the next vice president, who is black, be Indian and Jamaican? We have a right to say we've been here 400 years and we never have held the presidential or VP branch as ADOS. We have every right to that. Nobody can say, well, why have you been divisive? Shut up. And because we know what the caste is. So if you want to talk about the caste, and if you spent time with your family, you grew up with your mother, you went back and forth to India, you said your most influential person in your life was your Brahmin grandfather, we have every right as a bottom caste to say this is problematic. I don't care what you went to school. I don't care what AKA ski we with you. Right? We have a right to be concerned. So let me just put this up. The specter of caste in Silicon Valley. Interesting, isn't it? There's a lawsuit going on. It's not between white people and black people. No. The lawsuit accuses Cisco, a multi-billion-dollar tech conglomerate based in San Jose, California, of denying an engineer who immigrated from India to the United States professional opportunities, a raise, and promotions because he was from a low caste or Dalit. Right? That's interesting. Low caste. The lawsuit states that his Indian American managers, Sundar Iyer and Romana Compella, who are described as high caste Brahmins, harassed the engineer because their sense of superiority rooted in the Hindu caste system. Many Indian Americans reacted with disbelief that a giant corporation in Silicon Valley could be mired in discrimination. For Dalit Americans like me, it was just another Wednesday. Dalit, which means oppressed, is a self-chosen identity for close to 25% of India's population, and it refers to former untouchables, the people who suffer the greatest violence, discrimination, and disenfranchisement under the centuries-old caste system that structures Hindu society. Hold on. Caste is the gear that turns every system in India. If Hindus migrate to other regions on Earth, Indian caste would become a world problem. B.R. Ambedkar, the greatest Dalit leader and one of the architects of the India Constitution, wrote in 1916. He was prophetic. Understand something. Let me come out of this for 1 second. For 1 second. Understand what he's saying right there. Do y'all remember that time the AKA showed up for a Kamala Harris event and they was left sitting outside? I mean, not outside, but they don't have no section. Now Kamala's going around promoting that she's AKA and all this and all that, and the AKAs was ski weed and wonder where they were supposed to sit at, because they said, basically kind of like, she been talking about us and we AKAs, what's our special seat? And there was none. I'm not saying nothing bad. I'm just saying things cause me to think and wonder, and I think and wonder. And I'm not going to be censored or policed by anybody, because here's the thing. When you spend a lot of time responding to people's expectations, you end up confined by those expectations. And I refuse that. What I am saying here is, this is not of us. Brahmin is not of us. I don't care. Everybody makes up stories or exaggerates stories about your mother was in the civil rights marches. I never seen it. I haven't seen enough pictures, not invested or whatever. Your father's a Stanford professor. I have every right to wonder whether or not your success is even amongst and how well you do even amongst Indian people, Indian Americans, is built upon being Brahmin. I have a right to that opinion. I have a right to I have a right to that concern because of who you are. I have a right to question that lineage. You know why too? I've never heard you, Kamala, speak in a way where you talked about how wrong it was, what was happening to the Dalit or formerly untouchables. You've never talked about caste and how awful it is. So even in terms of that, you went over there all the time and you said your grandfather was the most influential. He was Brahmin too to you. You have never disavowed caste. Even in this country, you have never done that. When we asked about what you're going to do for black people, you said, I'm not going to do nothing specifically for black people. I'm not going to do nothing specifically. No. You put all kind of exaggerated faces to tell us you weren't going to do nothing for us. So it looks kind of anti-bottom caste, doesn't it? It doesn't look like you're here to help. It looks like you're elite and you're married to an elitist and y'all are doing your thing. But let me just say something. We have every right to be concerned because we saw what Obama did. How many of y'all saw Obama's eulogy to John Lewis? How many of y'all saw that? Obama finds every occasion to be disrespectful to ADOS. He don't care. He gonna be, yeah, well, no matter what the voter suppression is, you should turn out. Hold on, you disrespectful Negro with no biography. You were nothing. You were a state lawmaker who became a senator. That was it. That's not even good enough as a bio. You and Trump together have just torn everything apart. That's not a good enough bio. But how dare you? Because black people in this country turned red states blue for Obama. He comes out and then berates us for still not doing enough. What did you do when you was in office? Nothing but ingratiate yourself to white people. You just smiled and laughed and kikied and caca and invited the Tea Party in and said you're going to reason with them because that's what you've been able to do your whole life. Your whole life is built on smiling real hard. You know people who have a whole life that's built on having nice teeth and smiling real hard and it's not so bad, it's all right. How you doing? How you doing today, Jeffrey? How you doing today, Chad? How you doing? How you swinging on the golf course? So we don't get to even hold you accountable for you not doing nearly enough for us. You barely moved for us. We went backward. You created a whole bunch of white millionaires though, and we went backward and you would dare. Listen, I have my qualms with John Lewis. He was one thing and became another thing. Right? May he rest in peace. You can disagree about people, but one thing John Lewis did was shed blood. Right? There were a lot of black people who shed blood with King. And before that, what did you ever shed, Obama? You were somewhere sucking on a coconut, somewhere in Hawaii or somewhere in Kansas or wherever you was. You was never being raised by white people. How dare you criticize us when you've never lived the life we live? We have every right to disavow you and want no more parts of you and see Kamala in you. Every right. Because she is in you. Let's go back. You don't believe? Let's go back to the cast. Remember what we said yesterday about Kenya? For those of you who didn't see the book club, go back to last week and watch the book club episode. We had 2 book club episodes about immigration in Black America, and Kenyans are typically among the most educated. Obama's father was Kenyan, went to Harvard, right? White mother. Like even in that, you look pretty top caste. What you inherited from your mother, pretty top caste, and you go to a funeral of a man who shed blood and berate his people. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. And I see you and Kamala and you. So let's go back to the cast. This is the writer. Over the 4th of July weekend, I participated in a video call with 30 Dalit Indian immigrants. A Dalit information technology professional on the video call spoke about moving to the United States in 2000 and working at Cisco between 2007 and 2013. A large percentage of the workforce was already Indian, he told us. They openly discussed their caste and would ask questions to figure out my caste background. Ooh, they ruthless. Higher caste Indians use the knowledge of a person's caste to place him or her on a social hierarchy despite professional qualifications. I usually ignored these conversations, the Dalit worker added. If they knew I was Dalit, it could ruin my career. According to the lawsuit, Mr. Iyer, one of the Brahmin engineers at Cisco, revealed to his other higher caste colleagues that the complainant had joined a top engineering school in India through affirmative action. When the Dalit engineer, the lawsuit says, confronted Mr. Iyer and contacted Cisco's human resources to file a complaint, Mr. Iyer retaliated by taking away the Dalit engineer's role as lead on 2 technologies. For 2 years, the lawsuit says Mr. Iyer isolated the dollar engineer, denied him bonuses and raises, and stonewalled his promotions. These people are sick. Cisco's Human Relations Department responded by telling the dollar engineer that caste discrimination was not lawful and took no immediate corrective action. Mr. Kamala, the other Brahmin manager named in the lawsuit, replaced Mr. Iyer as the dollar engineer's manager, and according to the lawsuit, continued to discriminate, harass, and retaliate against him. In the other 1%, Indians in America, a 2016 study of Indian descent in the United States, the authors Sanjoy Chakravorty, Devesh Kapoor, and Nirvika Singh estimated that over 90% of migrants came from high caste or dominant caste. According to a 2018 survey by Equality Labs, a Dalit American-led civil rights organization, 67% of Dalits in the Indian diaspora admitted to facing caste-based harassment in the workplace. In the backdrop of caste supremacy in the Indian diaspora in the United States, when higher caste Hindus often describe and demonize Dalits as inherently lazy, sound familiar, opportunistic, not talented, even apparently innocuous practices like peer reviews for promotions, Cisco and several other tech companies operate on this model, can turn into minefields, ending in job losses and visa rejections for Dalits. The overwhelmingly higher caste Indian American community is seen as a model minority with more than an average $100,000 median income and rising cultural and political visibility. But it has engendered a narrative that is as diabolical as it is in India, insisting that they live in a post-caste world while simultaneously holding its hierarchical framework that benefits the higher caste people. This is the last one. Yet, after decades of being silenced, Dalit Americans are finally finding a voice that cannot be ignored. I was able to come out as Dalit because after moving to New York City and avoiding Indian-only communities for the first time, I was not scared of someone finding out my caste. Finding comfort and inspiration in movements like Black Lives Matter and Say Her Name and the tragic institutional murder of a Dalit student activist in India, I was able to understand and acknowledge that my history was a tapestry of pride, not shame. Let me tell you something. Let me just tell you something right now. This is some awful stuff. And I didn't say it, the person said it. Whoever the foremost Indian Dalit writer who he mentioned was. These people are importing caste. And we already have caste. And so what happens is the last thing we need is people who believe in caste to have any kind of power, right? And Kamala hasn't even come out and rejected caste. She doesn't even talk about it. She just paints herself as Negro and ski weets her butt on out of wherever she's at. That's what she does. Kamala doesn't own who she is. Right? She doesn't own her father. She doesn't even own her Jamaican ancestry. She doesn't even own, no. She just kind of paints herself as announces on MLK's birthday and paints herself as something that she's not. And we have a right to be suspicious, especially given what we've gone through. We have every right. I have every right to say that I don't want Kamala. I think sometimes we get into, maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't. I don't know, Yvette, let's give her a chance. We've done that long enough. We have a right to decide what our politics will look like. Nobody else has that right. We have a right to decide who we want in charge of our politics. You don't get the right to be like, well, no, you don't. Kamala's good enough, and so is Jim Crow Joe. No, that's why it's Democratic down ballot. No, you're not going to scare me with nobody. Every year, yes, Trump is horrible. We all know. And if you want me to vote differently, you got to give me my agenda. Especially my reparations agenda. Don't ask me what I can do for you. Ask me what you can do for me. And it's a debt. It's old. And there's a lot that goes with that debt. And we can talk about it and hash it all out. But you don't get to just tell me I got to do this because I don't work for you. I'm not your employee. We ain't even got jobs right now as a community. When we were becoming homeless and getting kicked out on the street, did you care? No. So you got to tell me I have to elect someone with a Brahmin mother in that kind of context, Jamaican father who seemingly has no relationship, and I can't be suspicious about any of that and decide like, no, that's not what I want. That's not good for me. I have to kind of look to the white gays and the people of color gays. Will they be upset with me? Will they be upset with me if I choose differently? What would they say? We have to be in this together, Yvette. No, you're telling me that she was most influenced by her Brahmin grandfather and that she's progressive because they let them go work and didn't have a problem with women going work and you know, no, I'm not comfortable. And that's enough. Like, we got to understand we don't have enough power to say that's enough. I don't owe you nothing else. I said that's enough. I said I'm not comfortable. It's not who I want. And let me just say this too before I go to break. We told these people we didn't want Kamala in the primaries. We torpedoed her whole stuff. I just want to let everybody know, and let's put that out there again. We torpedoed Kamala's whole stuff, and we said you can keep her and throw the whole candidacy all the way in the trash. We did that. And we took all the daggers for that. You don't get to pick her up, dust her out, and then hand her back to me. I told you where to put her. And I told you where to put Jim Crow Joe too. So you had everybody drop out before South Carolina so Jim Crow Joe could win. And then you're going to just pull Kamala out and dust her off and say, come on, y'all vote for this. No. And we have every right to say no. We don't owe nobody nothing. Everybody owes us. People who just came here. I don't care whether you Brahmin or Dalit or Korean. I don't care. Everybody owes us. I owe you nothing. We owe you nothing. And we told you no. We told you this wasn't going to work. We told you that this was a no-go. We told you we didn't want none of these people. And you gave them to us anyway. Well, this is how this ends. It ends with us voting Democratic down ballot. This is the end for you. We're not doing what you say do anymore. We're not contextualizing this in a way that makes you comfortable. People talk about a slave mentality. That's the leftover, the residual. This idea that somehow I have to fit in to what you want me to do. That's not freedom. I need my own intellectual freedom and my own political imagination to decide what I want and what is best for my people. I owe you nothing. Put that on a shirt. I don't owe you a thing. I don't even have to talk to you. Especially considering you haven't done right by me anyway. Name anybody who's done right by ADOS. Nobody. So I get to decide with my family, with my tribe, how we want to do. Outside of you and your white gays, your people of color gays, I don't need no kind of gays from you either. Don't look at me. We over here handling business, and we will tell you what we want to do. And we told you what we wanted. We told you Joe was walking around like Mr. Magoo, shuffling and duffling with his old and deluded self, and Kamala was out here and she was a stale politician, and she's just full of careerists and ambition. And ain't no good thing about having no ambition if your ambition is for nothing. You have to have an ambition that's tied to a people. You have to have an ambition that's tied to something. You're just a careerist for the sake of being a careerist, and so was Obama. You're empty vessels. You are full of nothing. You have no values. You're connected to nothing. That's who you are. And I will tell you that to your face. You have nothing that you hold dear in your life. And we need people who are a part of a tribe. And I criticize Boule here all the time. Whether it be the CBC or the Negro Whisperers, I criticize them too. But today is your day, sweetheart. And I'm telling all of y'all, I'm telling you, you're just a careerist for the sake of careerism. You don't believe in anything. You're not anchored in anything. And you're certainly not anchored in our story. What that means is that I can't have you telling my story. I can't have you cloaking yourself in my story. Ambition for the sake of ambition is a fool's errand. Just always remember that. You have to be ambitious, do stuff for your people. Ambition for the sake of ambition is a fool's errand. Don't ever forget that. Anyway, fam, it is time. We're going to go to break. Come back. Have a conversation. Let me get out because I said I was going to try to get rid of 9 minutes is shoot. Anyway, give me a few minutes, 3-4 steps, set up the calls, family. We'll be back and we'll have the conversation. are back and going right to the cause, right to the cause. I want to hear what y'all got to say about Kamala, and about, because I don't know, like we had this whole thing, right, that they were leaning towards her because they committed to a woman, and then they Reverend Barbara and them and telling them it's got to be a black woman or else. So I want to hear what y'all kind of have to say about it. I want to hear what y'all got to say about it. I really do want to hear what y'all thoughts are about this. Hold on one second. Let me see what me. So let me go to my first caller of the night. I'm going to 732. 732. What is your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Yes, I think you're talking to me.
Yep.
My name is Terry from Austin. What do you think? Is he going to pick Kamala or not?
I mean, I think he is. I don't know who else he got. See, let me tell you what I have a theory. I think he was going to pick Kamala, right? And I think what's happening right now is that there's pushback. And I don't think he necessarily anticipated the pushback. But I don't know who else he has. Like, Angela, I mean, what's the child's name? Congresswoman Bass. I don't think that's going to cut it. I don't think any of the other people, Stacey Abrams, no, that's not going to work. I don't think any of the other people. I mean, Keisha Lance Bottoms is good, but you've been a mayor, and that's I don't think that reaches the height of what you need for a VP. I don't even think Kamala's job did it. I don't know how we got out of governor, but that's a different story. But I think it's if it's not her, I will come back on here and count myself as surprised. Hello, Carl, you still there?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still here. Because I read well, it was on YouTube. It was a brother that was saying that the pecking order, and I'm not agreeing with it, but he mentioned something about, okay, the pecking order is white men, then black men, and then closely behind them would be white women, and then black women. So I'm thinking that I don't think that what's her name, Elizabeth Warren, or what's her name, the other one, Klobuchar. I think that's her name.
Klobuchar took herself out of it. She took herself out of the running.
She took herself out.
Yeah.
Okay.
She been took herself out a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
months ago maybe. Yeah, she been took herself out of the running.
So I would be shocked that because he didn't really commit to. He said women, but he didn't commit to black women. Correct?
Yeah, but they've been pushing him like it's got to be like Reverend Barbara and all them little activists and stuff. They've been pushing him, saying it's got to be a black woman or you ain't gonna have it and all this stuff. So I think the reason you have all these, and he's gonna get in trouble. Not from me, because I'm just Jim Crow Joe Child. But I think he's going to get in trouble if he comes out now and says, like, Elizabeth Warren is my running mate. So he's trying to figure that out. Because I think he kind of was going to go with Kamala. But, like, I think something else happened. And so I think now he is looking at someone else. Like, I think what's happened now, because if it was going to be Kamala, it should have been Kamala. You don't have more than enough time to investigate Kamala and come out. Because you were supposed to come out around August the 1st. Now we saw from the Washington Post that you were trying to you might push it back 2 weeks. I don't understand why you would push it back 2 weeks if you don't have some reservations about Kamala being the VP. So I think you're pushing it back and you're thinking about maybe you want somebody else in that slot. So it might end up being somebody else, but that's going to be quite the kerfuffle.
So you don't believe the I guess what I've got, which article or what newspaper said that. There's rumors out there that some of Biden's fundraisers are not happy with.
No, I do believe
Kamala
it. No, I do believe it. I do believe it. I think Biden was happy enough with Kamala. Like he said, the rumor was too that he told his people not to hold grudges over Kamala or whatever. And his people, Dodd specifically, was kind of like, nah, like she's too ambitious. And black women, I don't think black women. I think Kamala's people were like, oh, black women got to get to be ambitious. That's not what he was saying. He was basically saying you're not there to support the president as much as you're there to make sure that you have a good running start to be president, right? And so that did cause a problem. And I think some of his fundraisers do have a problem with Kamala. And I think that's why we have this delay. If it were not for that, for the fundraisers having a problem with Kamala, I think he would have announced this morning. Like, I think, but a lot of people have a problem with her, right? And I think a lot of people didn't think she was good enough on the debate stage too. She didn't shine, and that's a problem too.
Well, so I mean, obviously you're a black woman. Why is so many black women are so caping for Kamala? I mean, we all read the same facts about her. Why is so many black women caping for her?
I don't know why. Listen, I don't even know why we have decided somehow that we got to have a black woman here. I need a set of black politics that I can support. I really don't care at this point. I'm kind of out of, I love representation, but representation for the sake of representation is just not good enough. I need a set of politics to elevate us. I really don't understand. And I don't even think it's black women. I think there are a set of aspirational and boule black women who are really loud, right? And who are kind of setting the tone. I think some people like Kamala because they don't know enough, right? And they just, if you say, I love Kamala, I like her, and you say, well, why you like her, girl? And I don't know, I just think she'll do the right thing. That's not good enough. And I see that with a lot of people, even people who want to vote for Jim Crow Joe. I say, well, what you like about Jim Crow Joe? Well, he was Obama's vice president, and I just think he'll do, that's not good enough. You don't know anything about his track record. So I think a lot of us really don't get into the track record of a person. But and I'm not saying anything bad about us. You got a lot of white people who say they just want to elect somebody they can have a beer with. I don't know what kind of metric that is. So I think though for us things are too serious for this kind of, well, we like Kamala. I'm not trying to go hang out with her. I'm trying to elect somebody or put somebody as a VP to this what's going to be like this awful president who's probably going to just revert back to who he always was. In terms of mass incarceration, because you got to think you're going to have a bunch of people on the street, right? You got an eviction crisis, ain't no jobs, it's a pandemic. What do you do when you got a bunch of people on the street and it might be unrest? You find a way to lock them up. And so we might be heading towards a new stage of mass incarceration. And if we're heading towards a new stage of mass incarceration, y'all going to put on there like Joe Biden, who was Mr. Lock 'em Up, and Kamala Harris, who was Miss Truancy Law. During this moment, those are the two worst people on the Democratic ticket. We could have. I didn't have any dog in that race, but I can tell you there are people who were running against both of them who probably would have been better than them. Now they were not my choice, but I don't know how we got these two. If we got it, we don't know what Kamala's on ticket or not. But go ahead. I'm sorry, sir.
No. I'm listening to you. I mean, I just find it crazy that there's so many, back when she first, put her hat in the ring there, that, wow, I mean, there were women, I'm not saying just black women, there's a lot of black men that were out there, capable for her, but I'm like, once her prosecutorial record came out, I mean, how could you? How could you possibly want her as VP? But hey,
Yep.
Well, it's strange. But
you have her and you have Biden, who basically said, "I arrest everybody. The bill I wrote arrest people for everything except jaywalking." Right. So you got them two people. That's some scary stuff. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, fam. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. We're going to go to the next call. I am going to go to 312. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello?
What's going on, 312?
Oh, my God. I'm sorry. I'm kind of star-smacked, struck right now. I love you and Tone, and that's beyond because there's more of us that's doing the work out here. So I definitely appreciate you. I'm not going to be long because I know it's a line. I'm just right behind me. But I am Star Snack. Let me try to be quick. Okay. I don't want to vote for Trump for the simple fact of the way he handled this outbreak. It's crazy. I have contracted this virus twice already.
Were you
it's
sick?
a nightmare, and it's real.
Did you get sick, or were you asymptomatic?
Oh, yes, it was bad. It was bad the first time, and it was bad the second time. It messes with your mental state. It messes with your pre-existing conditions. It's hell on earth. I have contracted it twice. Now, I've been looking at the reports saying how people have been losing their family. Just so I've been blessed. I survived it twice. I'm on day 14 now.
But let me stop you, fam. I'm gonna fam. Let me.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. I want to slow down though. I want to slow down and talk to you because you said you were sick. We're gonna let you finish with everything you got to say. Don't worry. But what, you said you felt bad. Did you just feel the chills? I'm just curious. You felt sick? What happened to you?
Well, okay, so I first caught it like March 9th, and that was when all hell was breaking loose. They was telling people to stay home. If you are not near like life and death, you should stay home and medicate yourself. And they was telling you also that like actually there was not enough tests. So we have to stay home and self-medicate. So I caught it around that time, March 9th, where I had to stay home and self-medicate. I let myself get into a stress meltdown. It dropped my immune system, and that was when I was at the complete like mercy of it. Like I had like glass lungs. I had the bad headache. It was a migraine actually. And it was just these kind of muscle aches all over. It makes you very, very thirsty, so you have to stay hydrated. But it was more so my mind. Like when I hit the stress kind of meltdown, I dropped my like immune system. I was literally at the mercy of it. But I just so happened I made it through. I mean, it was extreme fatigue, lightheadedness, no like appetite. It made the flu and the cold look like a catwalk. So, well, can I heal from it? I did not have to be hospitalized or nothing.
Oh, good. That's wonderful.
I was trying to let my guard down, trying to return my life to some sense of normalcy, and then I caught it on the 20th of July because I went to a funeral because I stay here in Chicago. I know y'all hear a lot about the gun violence and everything here. Just so happened I have a friend that was impacted by that. I went to the funeral. They wasn't following none of the guidelines. And as a result, I believe that's when I contracted it again. And well, again, this time I was kind of more on a mental, like it was really playing on my mind.
I keep hearing that from people I keep hearing from people that there's a mental component to COVID. That's why that's why I asked you the question. Go on.
Yes, and it's like, well, it kind of outwardly. So you will be feeling fine for a minute, and it give you a chance to actually heal and get well, and then it comes in a wave, and the waves are horrible. It's like you being at sea, and you just have to stand wave after wave, and you'll have a calm spell, and then all of a sudden, it's all hell is breaking loose. So it's an outwardly type of illness. So yes, you will feel fine, but I say on day 7th and 8th, it was living hell. Like both times that I caught it. It was day 7 and 8 where it's like, oh my God, like I'm fighting for my life, you know. And it was day 11 where like it's his time where I started feeling much better and stuff. But okay, I'm sorry I went.
No, you're fine. I'm sorry. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Because people need to know what that feels like and looks like, and that's awful. But go on, fam.
It's real and it's a living nightmare. Have my whole life has changed. I don't care to be seen. I don't care to go out and kick it. I don't care to be served.
People miss me. I don't need none of y'all.
I go to amusement parks. I would have. Like if I have a picnic, I want to be somewhere where there's nobody.
Yeah, what you coming over here for? Go get. You talk to people like old dogs. Don't you get like these feral things just run around. Etiquette.
Yeah, I can see why people is dying. I went to the hospital 3 times. Like this time, and it was my blood pressure was just going like through the roof. And they were like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm fine. I'm calm as day." And they were like, "Yeah, but your blood, I can hear my heart beating." It was crazy. That thing is like aliens on steroids. But I have to tell people, actually getting tested is useless because doctors told me that the tests are not sensitive enough.
Oh.
So in saying that, I broke it down as the tests are not accurate. And people can even Google it on their phone, the accuracy of the COVID test. They will even tell you through Google that the tests are not accurate. There is no coronavirus test whatsoever that is accurate. So virtually is useless. So it's best to diagnose yourself on a symptomatic type of basis. If you already have health problems, it's best to know your own health problems. So when you start getting weird stuff, you will know something's off, you know?
All right, Paul, I got you.
Yeah, because
That's
I tested negative this time, and it was thanks to me catching it the first time that I knew I had it, because I said, no, I know the symptoms, like I had it the first time, and that was when the doctor explained to me that the tests are not sensitive enough.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people say they had all the symptoms and they tested negative. Yeah, I've heard that from a few people.
Oh yeah, so it's true, because I was suffering from like full-blown COVID symptoms in the hospital, and I tested negative. So I'm like, oh my God! So them tests are pretty much useless. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think some of them are okay, but I mean, America's been horrible with trying to. I don't even know how you could get a test, because I remember I got kind of sick and I had some symptoms. I was trying to get a test, child. And they were saying that you gonna be in line all this long. They was running out of tests. I couldn't even get access to one. So I don't even know if you can even get one at half these places.
See, but here is the actual tricky part. Some people is gonna catch COVID and just have the actual have a runny nose, and that is their COVID experience. Then there is others that these people can pass it to, and their COVID experience is like mine. They're fighting for their goddamn life, you know.
Yeah,
so this is where it's important that we, like all other races, because I stay in a gentrified type of neighborhood, and all other races is dropping the ball on this one. So I'm like, if everyone take this wear like this thing very seriously, I think that we can slowly curve it down. But unfortunately, everyone want to go back to normal.
Yeah, you can't.
It's no normal right now.
Yeah.
But going back to the corona, so people dying and everything. Trump makes a news report talking about if we take in somebody who disinfects this and all that mess, and he made a joke about it that was totally insensitive. And it was totally disrespectful to the people that have family members that die from this thing. I can just imagine if I was a child and I turned to TV and I saw that, I would hate that man.
Well, that's Trump. Yeah, I agree with you. Trump's awful, but he's never been nothing but awful. So.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think Trump's never been anything but awful. So, but I'll let you finish your point, Carl.
And then there is Biden, who is a slave driver. I'm sorry. That little crap bill, that was like a slave bill, in my opinion.
Okay.
Can't vote for him, because he will, in a sense, just like you was kind of hinting at, kind of re-implement slavery. And I can see that. You know, you don't have to be like a rich, like a red booty hole to do that. You can be a politician and you can re-implement some stuff, and all it takes is a bunch of people in the House to agree with you, and voila, there's that. So, no, so I've been telling people, so it's people who've been saying this, oh, so you're not going to vote for Biden? No, so you with Trump? No, because I'm not voting for him. And these people figure that I'm part of the problem, but I have a solution. It's my solution, and that is, since I took the actual census, I plan on making noise through the census.
I agree.
They actually,
but no, you're right. I think I agree with you, and that's why we do Democratic down ballot. But I think we have to kind of get out of. Everybody else is being very reflexive. It's kind of like what you just said. So they say, well, if you're not voting for Biden, you're for Trump. Listen, we're not reflexive. We're not binary people. And so what has to happen is that the Democrats have to somehow learn. If Biden could come and do what we need him to do right now. I don't believe it, but I'll give you, if you do reparations and the things transformative black agenda, I'll give you, the benefit of the doubt, but you ain't getting reelected. But they say he probably won't run again because he's so old. And whoever his VP is going to be, is going to be the VP.
But but this is the problem. How can we be heard as an actual voice, actual collectively? And I believe that that's through the census. The moment they see that like you came and you might have voted for other like interests or whatever, and then if they will ask you, because I'll be getting like emails from the census, I get stuff asking me about why the stuff I like to watch on TV, entertain the politicians, and I figure it's in that moment, that opportunity to let them know why you have no dog in that race.
Well, I think that's one of the opportunities. I think there are a few, right?
Yeah.
And I think there are little opportunities in our lives as well as we interact with people, as you have. So I think there are a lot of different opportunities to interact with people and interact with different voters and let them know, like, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I'm going to give you the last word call and then we'll move on to somebody else.
Okay, hold on, sorry, thank you.
No, you're great. You did good, fam. You're right. I especially enjoyed hearing about the COVID, though. I appreciate your political call, but the COVID sounded like it hit rough on you. It sounded like it mollywopped you. So I'm happy you all right. I'm happy you all right, fam.
Uppercut of Mike Tyson.
Well, good you survived because a lot of people don't survive that. Thank you, fam. I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much. Yeah. That sounded bad. That sounded real bad. We don't know why the COVID does one thing to one people and another thing to another people. I'm going to 614. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, my name is Elsie. How you doing, Miss Yvette?
I'm doing good. I can't complain. How you doing?
Y'all so awesome. Y'all so awesome.
Thank you.
Y'all really make me feel like I'm fine, because for a while I thought I was an alien.
We all feel that way from time to time.
I don't know what their problem is with this man, and I don't understand why he even thinking about Kamala. And I already decided I ain't vote for neither party. I'm really getting a paper ballot about the right reparations. Don't want neither one of them. Cause I'm there. I'm sick of these people for real. Cause it's like all they do is lie to us all the time. Then we sit back and look at their record. We look at what they choose to spend money on. Some of the stuff they spend money on will make you just sick. Like they spend all this money on the libraries here in Ohio. Ain't nobody going to these pretty libraries now. All these people about to be homeless. My mom, she keeps saying they gonna all move into all these office buildings they done fixed up and can't rent, can't do nothing with, but they evicting everybody. It's crazy.
Everybody gonna have somewhere to go. It's gonna get.
They about to live in the pretty buildings they put all our tax dollars in. That's what they about to do. I wouldn't be mad, shoot. I mean, somebody need to do something with them buildings they put all that money in. I'm telling you, all this gentrification going on. Now they done gentrified a big debt that they ain't gonna be able to pay because COVID done knocked all that out.
Oh yeah, COVID knocked everything. COVID knocked everything out the gate. So
yes.
Thank you, fam.
But I just wanted to say thank y'all.
No, thank you.
Keep
Appreciate
your head up.
Always.
Paper ballot, please write reparations. And
vote for you.
I'd like to get them both.
Thank you, fam. Thank you, fam. I appreciate you. And listen, remember, y'all got more stuff on the ballot than just your president. You got all kind of little initiatives. Some of them don't sound sexy or exciting. You got all kind of little ragtag politicians. There's a lot of them on my ballot. So just make sure you vote for or against other stuff that's going to be on there. And do your research because that stuff will hit you sometimes. You don't even know who is this. So make sure you do your research. Anyway, I'm going to 510. 510, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Deep East Oakland.
What's up, Oakland? How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. I can't complain, but I am. So I want to give a shout out to Josiah, Marguerite, Critical Side Eye, Rita, Juanita, Marika, hey. And also a shout out to Chris from the Sacramento team doing that political advocacy. They had us calling in to the council operations. It was amazing. It was an amazing experience. I'm losing my breath. I don't know why I'm nervous. But I just wanted to share a quick story about a BIPOC situation at my job. So we're hiring this new cohort of AmeriCorps at my job. And so to kind of express solidarity with the black community. They wanted this BIPOC kind of listing out of like who is black, who's an indigenous, who is POC. But at the bottom of the chart, it said BIPOC. Wasn't now one black person listed on that list, but they have BIPOC at the bottom. And I'm just like, see, this is what I'm talking about, that historical way that they umbrella term us to really kind of water us down and not even have to deal with how anti-black the United States or anti-West the United States is towards us. So that's the little story that I wanted to share. And I also want to encourage all those who are still working, still employed, as your corporations or organizations are, you know, trying to express solidarity, check them on that BIPOC stuff, because it is really detrimental to like our plight as our specific lineage. And I shouted on the rooftop, like, you're going to hear me, okay, executive director. But that's all I want to say. Okay. Thank you for the work that you do.
No, thank you for the work that I appreciate
does.
It. And thank you
and
for
you guys have a good night.
You too, and thank you for the shout outs. Thank you, fam. I appreciate that. Yeah, that BIPOC stuff is a myth. People just trying to throw something out there, and I don't care what anybody says. You know, I don't got no, but I think that's just a way to kind of sideline ADOS. We're gonna have a new acronym. It's not gonna catch. Ain't nobody talking about no BIPOC. Anyway, I'm going to 404. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette. Long time caller, been with you since day one.
Hey, fam.
I remember back when you was with boys and I was like, she don't come on enough. I can't get into it because she ain't on enough. She was on more often we could be with her. And then you blew up, man, so I'm really proud.
Oh, thank you,
I still listen to all the other ones, but primarily in this space, you are a leader. So I want you to know that.
Oh, thank you.
I do appreciate you.
I appreciate
everybody got a suggestion for you. I hit you with my DMs. You know, I'm always like, you should do this, you should do that. But I know what I see now that it's not easy doing all this by yourself, because to that young lady's point, I'm with the major realtor here locally.
Okay.
I'm the dude that buys your t-shirts and stuff. I ain't gonna tell you who I am, but my mailbox is near yours. So.
Oh, I know you. No, I know you. I know you now. That's all you had to say.
Okay, so oh, you see me? Oh,
yeah, I see him.
So you know, I'm with a major realtor and whatnot, and we had a diversity meeting, and this was one of the first times I'd ever seen non-blacks teaching whites in front of us about white privilege and talking about this term BIPOC. And I was thinking about you the whole time, and what I realized was real quickly when I spoke to the gentleman about it, we were all on these Zooms, by the way. Real estate, everybody's doing Zooms now. It's hard to get up in the house, so we're doing a lot of virtual meetings right now. So my point to you is that when we got into this BIPOC discussion, all I could say to him was that, hey man, look, we wear the last names of our oppressors unlike everybody else. You know, a lot of us, we still wear the last names.
Wait a minute. Sometimes when you say something deep, you got to say that again. What'd you say? We wear the last names of our oppressor.
In comparison to everyone else, you know, I have a neighborhood first name. You can tell that my homie, my parents was ADOS, but my last name is European or American, so to speak, not African, so to speak. So my point is, the difference between us and all the other demographics and all the other and everybody else in the BIPOC is, you know, we're still named after our oppression, so to speak. So when we got into this conversation, I said, man, this event stuff is really affecting people. And another thing, I see a lot of people taking your talking points, and it's like they blowing up off of you. But that's a whole other conversation. But I called because I wanted to say that I listened to Tone's show, and I'm kind of riding with his theory about this little side deal with Kamala and Joe Biden. In that I'm starting to come over to Tone's way of thinking, in that when she didn't get what she wanted out of South Carolina, so to speak, that's a red flag. It's a lot of ADOS here and there in our state, the neighboring states and whatnot. And to your point now, with the recent turn of events, it's telling that, you know, these things are going to be put off. So apparently that was the plan, Yvette.
Well, yeah, she dropped out right before that, didn't she? Right? And I think right before South Carolina, and I think you know, a lot of people make deals because a lot of people dropped out. So I think there were a lot of deals made right before South Carolina because too many people, and she, you know, and true enough, her campaign was falling apart, but you could have stayed in there, but you would have hurt Joe Biden, right? So there was some kind of deal cut to where, you know, maybe there was a deal cut to where, okay, you drop out and don't hurt me, so I could be the clear front runner and glide to the nomination, and you're gonna be VP, right? But the problem that she runs into now is that there are people who don't want her as that. So and Kamala's not going to be the person who's going to renegotiate anything. No, you promised me this is what it is, and I wouldn't begrudge her that, right? But I don't know where that leaves them. So I think that's what this extension might be about. Like, they might want to go in a different direction than Kamala, but Kamala's, if there was a deal, I'm sure Kamala's going to say a deal is a deal.
Well, you know what? Constituents are better informed now because of the likes of you. Everybody is better informed, and we need to continue to research and check the data. In real estate and whatnot, we get exposed to these things. We really get a chance to see what's going on in our community. Every time I try to sell a house, they want to rent one, and I don't have no, you know, I have nothing for them. So I really see it. I see the impact, and the things that you guys cover really, it shows up in my day to day and whatnot. So I just wanted to say, I know there was another one. Okay. When you was reading the court case with the Brahmins and the dollar out there in Silicon Valley out there, the part that you skipped over when you was reading was when he said, no, it is not unlawful to discriminate against lower caste. That's what you skipped. That was crazy. He was trying to if you go back and read what you were saying, he was justifying discrimination.
You know, I think I read it wrong, because I read it what he said it is unlawful. I read it wrong. You know what? Sometimes you read stuff with your own mind. How can that not be unlawful?
Yeah, and see, your righteous mind. See, you read with your righteous mind.
Oh, Lord, how you tell somebody that?
Legacy of Kamala. That's her legacy. It is not unlawful to discriminate, and that's why they bring that so-called people of color demo over here, because it mimics our oppression from Jim Crow. So I just wanted to touch in and chime in with you, man. You're doing a great job.
Thank you, fam. Thank you, fam.
You know, we critical. You know, everybody want to be you. You know, but we can't be you, because I seen you come up from the mud. I really did. I'm serious.
I believe you.
From day one.
I believe you. You know, I believe you. I believe you. And people don't know. People just don't know. Like, that's a long time.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Everybody watching you. I'm not just saying that to be, you know, I'm telling you. I call this, I don't want to say no names. I'm just going to say a lot of people. You got the ears of some billionaires out here. And it's a shame that we don't get a chance to appreciate the people that we get a chance to learn from and whatnot.
Well,
so it's a big deal. It's a real big deal.
Thank you, fam. Thank you, fam. I appreciate it. And everything in the fullness of time, fam. Thank you so much, fam. I appreciate it. And, you know, and he's right. I did read over it. I must have read it because I saw it as one thing. You know how your mind just tells you one thing. I got to go back and look at that. I didn't know that. And he's right. Like, listen, we wear the names of our oppressors. Somebody told me, I went somewhere one time, and, you know, white people are good at telling you about yourself or something. And I remember where was I? I went somewhere. I don't know where I was, and I had to give them a name to get a name tag. And they said, Carnell, that's an Irish name. I said, what you mean? What that mean? And you have to think about it. Well, hell, I don't know where the name come from. I don't know who it was or who did what with who. Good gosh of Moses. Ain't that something? And he's right. We wear the name. That was a deep line right there, family. But let me go to the next call. That was something. 206, I'm coming to you. 206, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Oh, hey, what's up? I can't believe I got through.
What's going on, fam?
All right. So, yeah, my name is Charles, and I'm actually calling from Atlanta.
Okay.
And so I noticed you had brought up the Brahmins and most specifically the Dalits. So I just wanted to give a little background on that, just so everybody, it's kind of stuff I study, that etymology, just so people really understand Kamala mindset being a Brahmin.
Okay.
So basically, when you talk about the deletes, they're us. They're the darkest individuals in India. They're called the Shudras or the Sudanese, sometimes Sudan, Shudras, which means like people touched by the sun. They're the blackest of the black, and they're what's called once born. They're not supposed to be born more than one, so technically they're not even supposed to be here. So that's why they're treated how they're treated. So when you deal with the laws of Manu, which is an ancient, they call it ancient, but it's not that old. It's just old school. They talk about the shooters or the shudras, or what's called the untouchables. So here's just a few things to describe them. So a Brahmin, which will be Kamala mom's set, may take possession of goods of a shudra with perfect peace of mind. For since nothing at all belongs to the shudra as his own, he is one whose property may be taken away by his master. So that's one thing. And I'll just go with, because it's a lot if you read the laws of Manu, but I'll just give like two more. Let's see here. If he makes mention, and this is the Shudra, in 13 manner of their name and caste, a red hot rod iron, 10 fingers long, shall be thrust into his mouth. So basically, if he ever speaks up against any of the higher castes, such as the Kashaya, Vashaya, or the Brahmin, they can have a hot rod thrust in their mouth. And if this man actually says something to one of the priest class, the king of that time had the right to pour boiling hot oil into his mouth and his ear. So this just gives you an idea of what they built that caste system on. It wasn't just arbitrarily. It's in their religion. This is part of the Vedic system. This is why they have that color caste system with the blackest being at the bottom. But in actuality, and I won't, take up too much of your time because this is a lot of information when you study that. It's basically they're the Indus Kushites. They're a mixture of people that came from Kush, made their way to what's now known as India, and they were the individuals who basically set up shop, the followers of Kali, aka the Thuggies.
Let me ask you something, fam. Let me ask you something.
They're treated like that.
Fam, let me ask you something. What you study? What you studied this for? What? What you studied this for? I appreciate the information, but why you study this? I'm just asking. I'm just curious.
Oh, everybody got their thing. So when it came to etymology, which is the study of words and prefixes and suffixes and stuff like that, and just history, we all want to know about ourselves. So I got into that maybe 10 years ago.
Okay. All right, fam. I appreciate it, though. That's horrible. I mean, thank you for sharing it, but that's some of the most horrible stuff I ever heard. Hot oil, that's about as horrible as the Nigerian slave traders burying people with them. Burying people alive because they slave. Ooh, that's some horrible stuff. Thank you, fam. I appreciate it, though. That's some of the most horrible stuff I ever heard. Good gosh of Moses. Whoo. All right, I'm going to 929. What? I can't even get myself together. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, Yvette. My name is Camille. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me okay? Okay, good. I'm at work.
Okay.
So let me walk out before I talk about these people in the establishment. Let me go. I work for Wyndham. Okay. Wyndham has a bunch of small little hotels, right?
Okay.
And tonight's show just it dawned on me. Last week I came into work and it was like, did you see the prices? And I was like, what?
See the what?
No, I didn't see the prices.
Okay.
The prices to the room.
Okay.
They skyrocketed. You hear me? We do weekly rates for the people that's getting put out of their homes. It went from $297.85 for a single to now being $344. Highway robbery. These people are getting a bed, a microwave, and a mini fridge. Capitalism at its finest.
Oh, because everybody getting put out, they're going up on the hotels.
Yes, it is crazy. Oh my goodness. They got kids living in these conditions. It's so show just like hit home. I'm like, holy crap. They are really, like, they don't care.
No.
Nobody cares. Like, they got us living in the worst conditions.
No, you're right, man. Yeah, and then
they're
trying to gouge.
Taking up most of the room.
Yeah, and then they're gouging, and then they're gouging because they know like this is coming up, and now these people are gonna need a place to stay, and they're gonna have to figure it out. So they're gonna have to figure out how to get the money, how to get the money. And then if you figure out a way to get the money, it's not necessarily legal. Then you end up with a place to live in a penitentiary, and so they have us in this kind of like this trap, right? And so it's like. What our politics is supposed to do though is help us get out of the trap, and our politics is just like, no, just have a black woman be VP, and it's just like, no, you got people living in these little hotels and motels. I've known people to have to do that, right? This is not some, like, people think of this as some kind of outlier situation. No, most of the people who live in these motels and these little motels and hotels and stuff, most of these people have a job, but it's not they might not have jobs now, but even pre-COVID, most of them had a job. It just wasn't enough to pay rent, or they had a previous eviction or something, and they can't do it. And so now they say, hey, here they come, we're gonna jack it up. It's insane.
Oh my goodness. And like, and us as the workers, we're like, because the owners, I've seen the owner one time, and that's because, okay, granted, I work third shift, but they don't check on their building. We go weeks with, like, and they're going to come crying to us, and it's like, my hands are tied.
Yeah, you can't do that.
What do I do? Like, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
It's so sad, and I just want to tell everybody, please wear your mask. Please, I don't know. I'm praying for everybody.
Yeah, take care of yourself, fam. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself, fam. Because like you said, this, you have to see it and you have to experience it, and you have love for people. But you didn't do this, and you have to keep reminding yourself of this, or you would kind of make that your burden and your pain. And you have to have empathy for people and do what you can, but understand that who is doing this. You got to understand who the actor is. So thank you, fam. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for calling in. But you stay safe too, because try not to create too much stress on yourself. And too much. I understand how hard it is to see people suffer, and that's kind of our lives. But try to find ways to kind of decompress yourself too, because that can become a lot, and that can become something that leads into you being sick because you're so stressed over like what you're seeing happening to people like you. And it's horrible that we have to see that and then not be able to do nothing about it. You see that, and you see what they're doing, and you know what the price was and now what the price is. So they're just gouging people who are going through enough and who might be sick. People might come in and be coughing and still, they don't care. You sick, you unemployed, going through hell, I don't care. That's what our politics is supposed to address. Not just we need a black female VP, or black, it could be anybody. No, what policies and politics are they going to do that are going to make sure that this doesn't happen to us? What kind of protections? Reparations is the centerpiece, but then what kind of protections are in place? Huh? This doesn't make no sense. So I'm going to my next caller. I am going to 832. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, Yvette. This is Carrie Ivory. I'm calling for Orlando. How are you?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. I'm holding in. It's my first time calling in, and so first I want to say, I just want to, I think you and Tone, first of all, you guys have educated me. There was so much I didn't know. Both of my parents were professionals, and I sort of grew up in this bubble. And everybody around me, was doing well. So I figured, everybody else was doing well, because my bubble, everybody was doing pretty well. But then, I just, educated myself on what's going on in our community. I just didn't know that our politics had gotten this bad. It just blows my mind.
Okay.
And you guys have educated me on that. So I just want to say that. I just want to say I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
I've been talking thank you. I've been talking ADOS to my friends, to everybody, my white friends, to whoever. I'm just talking about it, what's going on in our community. And whoever's not receptive, I'm like, whatever, kick rocks. But I'm trying to educate them. So I just wanted to to just piggyback off of what you were saying, Kamala Harris is straight trash. Because I follow politics closely, and I've just sort of been watching her, and she sort of built this network of sort of allies that are sort of shilling for her on TV, online, and things like that. So she just has a lot of allies that she's cultivated. And I saw that, when she was, when she first, hit the scene in the presidential race, that, I thought I was interested. I didn't know much about her, but the more I learned, the less I liked about her, and then what got me is I saw the interview that she did with the Griot online, and they were talking about reparations, and she sort of just, giving these vague policy sort of in the ether of what she wants to do for black folks. And then the interview was pressing her on this, and then she, finally she's like, well, I'm not going to do anything, for you guys specific, for black community. I'm going to do for everybody, just with an attitude. I was like, what in the world is going on here? What planet is she on?
We all said that.
So I just like that, and she did well at first in the debates, because she kind of kneecapped Biden on the whole school busing thing, and I thought she was strong. But as I watched her, she was, when she's well prepared, she does well. But when you get her on a cuff, she doesn't know what the hell she's talking about.
She's flat-footed. Yeah, she a flat-footed candidate. Once you get her, and if she come in there, then she come in there on her toes. But she gonna be flat-footed after she stopped.
Yeah, you can't get her. Yeah, you can't get her right on the fly. She falls apart, and she just switched policy positions here and there. Every which way, each interview she changed her position.
Yeah, yep.
So I just wanted to add to that she is trash, and I saw a report that she was sort of sending her allies out to Joe Biden campaign to sort of shield for her, because I agree with you that Biden was most likely going to pick her. They probably had something already in place, in the primaries, and it just sort of fell apart, and now she's in damage control. And, because I know that ex-Senator Dodd was sort of trashing her, telling her what. But so she's in damage control. I just want to piggyback off of that.
Okay.
And then also two more things. My aunt and my uncle, they're both professors. They researched our family tree, and so our last name is Ivory. It used to be McIvory. My ancestors was owned by the McIvory clan. So we know who our professors are, and also they're our family too, from DNA. So we know that too. So we wear their name. So I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in there, and I just appreciate you doing what you guys are doing, and I've been out just saying ADOS everywhere.
Thank you, fam. I appreciate it. Thank you, fam. I appreciate that. And yeah, and I've never been. I know everybody changed their name to whatever they changed it to, but I don't even agree with that. Nah, you gave me this name. I'm gonna have this name, and I'm gonna throw it in front of you like you should be embarrassed. You should be ashamed. So I don't even know. When I think about Kamala, I think somebody even brought it up in the chat. Like, how do you get chin checked by Tulsi Gabbard with everything that she has, like all the baggage that Tulsi Gabbard had, and she said she kept jabbing you in the jaw, and you just was like, I don't know why she keep hitting me. Who is she? Like, I don't even know why she here. Like, and it was just, what you gonna do with Pence though? That little devil that he is, what you gonna do with him? I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily trust you in any kind of debate. So it's a whole lot. We're gonna end it right there, fam. But it's a whole lot that people got to really think about. I thank everybody who called in. I appreciate y'all. But we're gonna end that right here. We're gonna have to get that next time. On the next time, I'm just gonna end a little bit. It's still late. But yeah, I think about that though. What? How are you gonna do? How are you gonna deal? You're a very flat-footed candidate. People thought you could move your feet and you had great footwork, but then when you got in there, you was just standing flat the whole time, and that's problematic. I never did think about it that way, but it's the truth. It is the truth. So, fam, I want to thank everybody who called in. We had some good callers tonight, so I appreciate that. Please hit that like button before you go. Please hit the like button before you go. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Please hit that bell. And make sure that you're getting notifications, family. Please just make sure that you are subscribed. And nothing has unsubscribed you or taken you off the notifications. Please make sure that you double check that. If you haven't double checked that, I'd appreciate that. Also, if you want to donate, go to donatebrown.com, patreon.com/ycarnell. Any of that stuff you can do, but hitting that like button will cost you absolutely nothing, right? Nothing at all. And subscribing if you have not subscribed. And like I just said, double checking that bell. Please do that. Fam, it's been a wonderful evening. Please finish your libation and do whatever you have to do. Fam, I'm just thinking of the young lady who just called in. It just kind of concerns me. And I just want to kind of reiterate to everybody, take care of yourself. And that don't mean don't take care of nobody else. That just means that make sure that whatever stresses that you are dealing with in your day-to-day, that you are dealing with in your night. In the sense of do what you have to do. Get to bed early if you need to. Take a bubble bath if you need to. Some chamomile tea if you need to. If you need to take a little libation or whatever. I'm saying just like make sure you take time to relax, and try to decompress from all of this stuff, because evictions are happening. People gonna have to move, fill trucks and move. And I know how I moved a few times in my life, and I know how hectic that is, especially if you got some financial constraints. You finna move, but I can only spend this much, and I already spent this much. You got to take some time. Stress is a very interesting thing. You can carry it, but at some points you got to put it down. You got to put it down and pick it up. You can't have it with you all the time. That destroys your immune system. And the last thing we all need to be walking around with the COVID is a raggedy immune system. So fam, just keep that in mind as you go to your day. Nobody is benefited if you walking around here sick, or if you catch the COVID and give somebody the COVID and you didn't try, you didn't mean to, you were just carrying a lot, and you got your immune system got weak and you got sick. Just do what you can. You can't do everything, but just do the best you can to try to keep yourself healthy. And that keeping yourself healthy means taking care of yourself as best you can. So that's all I want to say, fam. Please be easy breezy. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to your family and your tribe. And I will see you next time.
Thank you.